So I know what you're thinking. Sinbad has 7 djinns, 7 metal vessels. What are they, what do they look like, and what are their abilities? Well, fortunately for you, I can show you every single last one of them. Starting with the first dungeon that Sinbad has ever captured. And with it being the first dungeon that Sinbad has ever captured, it is also the first dungeon to appear and be conquered. Baal, the Djinn of Wrath and Heroes. Pretty fitting considering Sinbad defeated a dragon before conquering this dungeon. Baal resides in Sinbad's sword, and his magic type is lightning. When Sinbad uses his Djinn equipped with Baal, he grows a tail and gets scale-like armor all around his body. Baal's lightning is so strong it can destroy multiple mountains with ease. When it comes to lightning magic, there are multiple different ways in which you can use it. And we get examples of this with all of the different household vessels and how they utilize Baal as a household vessel. For example, when Drakon uses Baal, he covers his flesh with the scales of a dragon and it absorbs the shock received and converts it into attack strength, allowing for a both defensive and offensive attack. And its electrical currents activate the nerves, giving him more strength than an ordinary human. When Mistras uses Baal, he's able to take the electricity from it and conjure a giant electric lance. Jafar is also capable of conjuring electricity in different shapes and sizes, and we see him do that with his assassin blades and conjures them into giant electric snakes. And then with Masaru, we have an ability known as Thunderbolt Armor. Similar to Drakon's ability, it uses electric currents to maximize his muscle strength, but instead this also removes the limits on the usual rate of muscle contraction, making it simply amplify the user's strength. Now theoretically, with all of these being Baal's abilities, Sinbad could possibly do the same exact thing. But the way Sinbad typically uses Baal is through his sword. He can simply cast a lightning bolt to attack you. He can store lightning in his sword and have lightning behind every single slash he makes. And his extreme magic is an even more glorified version of that. As for Sinbad's second djinn, we have Valefor, the djinn of falsehood and confidence. Valefor's design is that of a giant wolf, and his magic type is ice. He resides in one of Sinbad's necklaces. As for his household vessel, he only has one user, which would be Hina-Ho-Ho from the Imuchak tribe. And when he uses his household vessel, likewise, in comparison to Mistras, he uses it in the same exact type of way. He conjures ice in the form of a wolf. And fun fact, both of the powers of their household vessel are at the same level. When Sinbad uses his djinn equipped with Valefor, it looks as though he takes the form of a kitsune, but rather than being a fox, he is a wolf instead. His abilities within this form, since obviously he has ice magic, are based around ice, with him conjuring simple ice spikes and shooting them at his opponent, but manipulating ice and snow is only a small part of his power. Valefor's real ability is called stagnation, the power to control the movement of molecules and restrict a substance's movement. And this molecular manipulation would allow Sinbad to conjure and manipulate ice. And he does this by stopping the movement of water particles in the air and then manipulating them from a liquid form to a solid. This ability has the capability of slowing down all the sensations from your body and your surroundings, but not only this, slowing down your thoughts as well. It's almost as if he slows down your overall perception. For the next djinn equipped, we have Zephyr, the djinn of spirit and puppetry. He resides in one of Sinbad's rings. To be more specific, the ring on his middle finger. When it comes to this djinn in particular, it has the most lore surrounding it. Out of all 7 of Sinbad's djinns, this djinn did not originally belong to him. The original owner of this djinn was the woman that Sinbad was supposed to marry, but for some reason he eventually ends up with it. Now it's hard to describe what type of creature Zephyr really is, but if I had to guess, I would say an imp. But it seems as though he's also an imp mixed with a dragon, hence the wings and the dragon horns. And as you'd expect, Sinbad would also take this same exact form when he performs a djinn equipped. When it comes to Zephyr's magic type, it is sound. Not only can it simply damage you with sound by emitting giant sound blasts, but that is only the start of it. With these same exact sound waves that he emits, Zephyr can send Rook into someone else's brain and control them. And the unfortunate part is the fact that once you're hit by this ability, it does not go away. There is no condition, there is no radius, there is no time limit. It seems as though there is no weakness to this ability. Once you're hit by it, you are under Sinbad's full control. He could basically permanently control you by leaving his Rook inside of you. But his limit is only 3 people. He can only continuously control 3 people at once. But when it seems as if he's doing an on-spot command, there's no limit. For example, while fighting Kogyoku, he used Zephyr and put everyone to sleep, including the residents of Syndria. And naturally, this would be the same ability that a household vessel would be able to use. But I would like to point something out before we go any further. And I'll have to point this out as well with the next Djinn on the list. So I do realize that people can watch my videos and want to make corrections to them or anything along those lines, and I have absolutely no issue with that. But I'd like to just keep in mind that when I cover Magi, I do not use the anime version of Magi because there are a lot of differences between the anime and the manga. For example, Dark Alibaba exists in the anime, but he's nowhere to be seen in the manga. Now, I don't want to go over every single difference between the anime and the manga for Magi, but when it comes to Zephyr's household vessel, we are told that Pisti is the user for Zephyr. Now, originally, there is no indication of this in the manga. Her household ability is the fact that she can control things with sound, just like Zephyr. And we see this when she blows her flute and controls this sea monster. But my issue here is there is no indication of her using her household in the manga or the anime. In fact, it seems as if it's actually Pisti's own unique ability. She's able to befriend animals by harmonizing with their Rook through sound. This is not the same thing as Zephyr's mind control. So I don't know where the wiki actually got that from because there's no indication of her being Zephyr's household vessel in the anime or the manga. I don't know if there's a Magi guidebook out there that says this or something. So I'm just going to go ahead and say there's a possibility that she does use Zephyr as a household, and there's a possibility she doesn't, and I'm going to lean closer to the latter. I don't like to carry things like a know-it-all or anything, so I would like to say don't be harsh on the guys who run the wiki because they're only human and Magi's a very niche series. For the next Djinn of Sinbad, we have Folklore, the Djinn of dominance and submission, and he resides in the bracelet on Sinbad's right arm. When we look at Folklore as a Djinn, it looks like a regular humanoid, but instead of having hair, his race seems to have that replaced as feathers. And likewise, Sinbad begins to take that same form as well. Folklore's magic type is wind, and he can casually conjure tornadoes that can destroy mountains and casually blast away an extreme magic spell. Now, in terms of Folklore's household vessel, it only has one user, and that user would be Sharkan. The only thing here is the fact that the manga never actually specifies that Flowing Flash Sword is under Folklore's abilities. My personal opinion, Flowing Flash Sword, that doesn't really sound like a wind ability because when does wind ever flash? Lightning flashes, but I've never heard of wind flashing. So I will say in the anime, his household is Folklore, and maybe his household is Baal in the manga. Now these next Djinn equips are the Djinn equips that have never been animated by the Magi anime. To start things off, we have Corcel. He's the Djinn that resides in Sinbad's left arm bracelet. Unfortunately, we don't know what type of Djinn he is or what type of magic he uses. In terms of appearance, he is a 4-eyed lion humanoid, and he is a quadruped. And just in case if you don't know what that means you are 4-legged. Sinbad first uses this form when he's about to challenge God and has to fight an army of angels. But based on what little that is shown of Corcel, it seems as if he's one of the stronger Djinn equips that Sinbad has, easily cutting down giant Sacred Palace guardians as if it were nothing. Up next we have Vepar, a female butterfly-like humanoid who resides in the ring that is on Sinbad's index finger. When Sinbad fuses with Vepar, a giant serpent wraps around him and he attains the body of a mermaid and the wings of a butterfly. In this form, he can conjure 1,000 blades and make them rain on his opponents. And last but certainly not least, we have the Djinn of Rapture and Darkness, Zephyr, and he resides in Sinbad's silver necklace. The best way I could describe Zephyr, he would simply be a dragon-like humanoid. And if I were to take a wild guess on what type of magic he'd use, it would probably be light or heat magic. We see Sinbad take on this dragon being-esque form and begins to blast away the guardians of the sacred palace. And unfortunately, that is everything that we see out of these 3 djinns. Now, with all that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more Magi content, and feel free to comment what video you'd like to see next. I do listen to my viewers. In fact, this was also a viewer requested video. Y'all take it easy, and I'll see you guys in the next one.